Come on in and huddle up. This is Harvey's Huddle. I'm your host, Jackson Harvey. It was a fantastic week 6 that we experienced. Lots of surprisingly incredible games. I didn't really see a lot of close, exciting games coming out of this week, but it was close, it was exciting, and it was a great week of football in week 5. Excited for some of the games in week 6, excited for what's ahead for us in this week of action, starting off with the Buccaneers and the Eagles on Thursday night. If you haven't already, go check out my social media channels. We're on Instagram at Harvey's Huddle, on Twitter at Harvey's_Huddle, and we're on Facebook. The page name is Harvey's Huddle. I have been doing really well with my predictions as of late. I was a little worried for a little bit during the Sunday morning games, but we're sitting at a solid 50-30 in terms of predictions, which isn't too bad. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go right into my top 10 list in the NFL after 5 weeks. At number 10, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know they lost. They lost on Sunday. It was a heartbreaking loss. It was incredible the way that game went. If you didn't watch it, 5 or 6 missed field goals from the last 2 minutes and some odd seconds of the fourth quarter to overtime until Mason Crosby finally hit the game winner. It was crazy. It was a crazy game to watch, back and forth. Joe Burrow throwing the interception on the first play of overtime, and it's just everything that could go wrong for either team was going wrong, and it was very unfortunate, but it made for an exciting game. The Bengals defense, they're 8th right now in terms of yards with 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Joe Burrow has looked incredible. Of course, he went to the hospital after the game with I think they call it a throat contusion. I believe he's okay. I haven't seen anything saying that he's not okay. So it seems like everything is good to go with Joe Burrow, but he is definitely the leader of this team. He is playing very good football, and it goes to show how the Bengals have been able to keep up with almost every team that has been thrown at them. And they are definitely in the mix in the playoff hunt after 5 weeks, in my opinion. At number 9, I've got the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns, they had a really tough loss. There were a couple things that just didn't go their way on Sunday against the Chargers. Mayfield looked awesome. They played great. I don't know where OBJ was. I don't know what the heck he was doing, but he was inefficient and ineffective in that game against the Chargers when they really needed him most. And I know the refs aren't terribly to blame for giving up as big of a lead as the Browns did, but that one defensive pass interference call did sway the game in the Chargers' favor quite significantly. It's one of those things that referees, they're always preaching that they don't want to be this big factor in the game, and there's just, when Mike Williams is holding every part of the defender and pushing him back, and the referee is standing right there and calls defensive pass interference, that's when there has to be some sort of accountability, some sort of repercussions for that official and for that team of officials, some sort of training, something has to be done where these decisions that have such a significant impact on the game, if you don't think that had a significant impact on the game, that was on a 4th down, right? And it ended up in the Chargers' score that ended up diminishing the lead that the Browns had. And really, that drive is what changed the game, in my opinion. Especially that specific play changed the game. I know after the play, Browns should have stopped them, but at that point, they did all they could to stop them. They did stop them. They did. a bad call in an opportune moment cost them that game. And I think there needs to be some sort of accountability, some sort of way to hold those referees accountable, because I mean they're the third team. They're the third team on that field, and there has to be a way to make sure that they're doing their job and doing their job to the best of their ability. Even if you have to institute some sort of video official who double checks these calls, not even in slow motion, in real time. Even in real time, you can see Mike Williams grabbing the jersey. I don't know. There needs to be some sort of way. The Canadian Football League, they have somewhat of a video official that reviews plays and can talk to the head official on the field and say, hey, we saw this. You should probably call. They use it a lot for objectionable conduct and for unnecessary roughness penalties and on determining whether a player should be ejected or not. And they allow for challenges. They allow for challenges for, I believe, pass interference and for roughing the passer and things like that. If you can do that and do it effectively, because the NFL did have that a couple of years ago, but it was ineffective in the way that the referees called it. But you need to have a video official that gives that accountability and gives that kind of perspective of a replay to be able to get these calls right in the most crucial moments. That's enough for my rant. Number 8, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, he looked incredible on Sunday. He's got a great defense around him. The difference between them and the Kansas City Chiefs right now, in my opinion, is that defense. Having a good defense makes the difference, and they really are coming on strong, and Tom Brady is benefiting from it. Tom Brady benefits from a really good defense. He always has, and he always will. And he's leading the passing yards race right now. So props to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. They're looking great. At number 7, I've got the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's playing awesome. That defense is really trending upwards. They're doing well. Nothing really else to say. Aaron Jones has been kind of missing the last couple weeks, so hopefully he can do better in this week of play. At number 6, we got the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford, he's looking good. He didn't have as great of a game against the Seattle Seahawks, but they're still looking great. They're still looking dominant. He's still making amazing throws and amazing decisions downfield and down the home stretch. Whenever they need good decisions and need good play, Matt Stafford's there to pick them up. Defense is still dominant. They're still doing well, especially against the run game. They really stifled Seattle, and they're looking good. They're looking like one of the best teams in the NFC right now. At number 5, I've got the Baltimore Ravens, and holy cow, Lamar Jackson is right now the definition of a most valuable player for the Baltimore Ravens. He is defying all odds, and he is coming out and winning games with most of his offensive weapons, other than, well, I'll take that back. Most of his running backs are gone, so he's really the only viable run game that they have. They have Latavius Murray, they have Tyson Williams, they have Devonta Freeman right now, but Lamar Jackson is the one making plays, and I said it in my AFC North preview that the Baltimore Ravens would be the team to come out of the AFC North if, and only if, Lamar Jackson was able to develop as a passer. And the fact that Lamar Jackson is top 5 in terms of passing yards and top 10 in terms of rushing yards is the reason why the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the AFC North right now. He is the sole reason that they are doing as well as they are. They're the sole reason that they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, that they beat the Colts last week. It is all because of Lamar Jackson. And if there is anyone who has been more valuable to their football team, there is no one. There is no one who has been more valuable to their football team than Lamar Jackson has been to the Baltimore Ravens. The defense is doing well, and I think a lot of that has to do because of Lamar Jackson and the way that he's playing and handling the game. They're coming up big in crucial moments. They had a little bit of a slow start on Monday Night Football, but they're coming up in big moments. We're going to be talking in a few minutes about the Chargers and the Ravens game. Huge game coming up this Sunday. At number 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys. They're the best Cowboys team I've seen in my lifetime, especially in the past 10 years. Dak Prescott, it looks like he's firing on all cylinders. Ezekiel Elliott is really trending upwards right now. You can see the energy that he has, because last year it was really sad. I think Zeke is a great player. He's one of the best running backs in the league. But last year you could see the injuries and the situation for the Cowboys really take its toll on his mental game. But he looks like, and the entire Cowboys team looks like, they're having fun and that they're really out to play. And the only loss that they have right now is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was a close game in week 1. So props to the Cowboys. At number 3, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. And I talked about the reffing issue that happened at the end of the game against the Browns, but that aside, Justin Herbert and the Chargers played an incredible game against the Browns. Incredible team win by the Chargers. That Herbert to Mike Williams connection is really proving fatal. Of course, the 2 touchdowns that Mike Williams got were more miscommunications by the Browns than it was Mike Williams beating coverage. However, the Chargers do have an issue with their defensive rushing stats, and they need to really bring it against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday if they hope to get out of that with a win. They need to stop the run and stop Lamar Jackson and company on the ground. At number 2, I've got the Arizona Cardinals. Tough win against San Francisco. San Francisco's a better team than I think we all give them credit for. But I think in order for the Cardinals to get back to a number 1 spot, they need to dominate more. They need to be more dominant against the worst teams in the NFL. And in not even the worst teams in the NFL, but in even the middle of the pack. They need to dominate more. Their offense needs to do better in those tough situations. It was a tough defense in San Francisco, but they still came out with the win. And at number 1, I have the Buffalo Bills. What an amazing game on Sunday. I mean, you had the lightning delay for almost, I think, over an hour. But it was an incredible game on Sunday by the Buffalo Bills. They stifled, which having the Chiefs score as little points as they did is definitely stifling Kansas City. They stomped them on defense. They really stomped on them. Maybe stomp on them is a bad term, but they really dominated in all aspects of the game on Sunday. Josh Allen looks incredible. That defense, that Buffalo Bills defense is, they are incredible. It's amazing what they can do, and it's amazing what they have been able to do. And I said it last week, they need to be able to come out and show up against a good team like the Kansas City Chiefs, and they showed up and they played their hearts out. And I think we're seeing the number 1 team in the AFC right now in the Buffalo Bills. Well, there you go. That's my top 10 list. I got Bengals, Browns, Bucks, Packers, Rams, Ravens, Cowboys, Chargers, Cardinals, Bills. No Chiefs in there. No Panthers. Panthers tough loss to Philadelphia this past week. The Bears are trending upwards with Fields, in my opinion, and that defense is quite good. We'll see how they can do against the Packers this week. The Chiefs are in some serious trouble. I'm just going to take a few moments to say, I know people in the NFL, analysts, and people are saying the Chiefs aren't in trouble. The Chiefs are in serious trouble, in my opinion, and I think it all comes down to their defense. I said the difference between the Bucks and the Chiefs right now, the 2 Super Bowl teams last year, is that the Bucks have a good defense, good running defense at least. They have some part of the game on defense that they can hang their hat on, and that is the running defense. The Chiefs don't have that. They don't have anything. They are looking terrible in all aspects of the defensive game. And it's hurting their team. It's hurting their offensive side of the game. It's hurting, obviously, the defensive side of the game. But it is hurting this team in a way that hasn't been seen in years past, because Patrick Mahomes and company have been able to just slam dunk it in the end zone every time they touch the ball. But now that other defenses are becoming better, their defenses almost become worse. And they need to make a move to get some defensive players and playmakers on their team so that they can really improve on that side of the ball. Because if they won't, they're in serious danger of missing the playoffs this year. They are. If they can't win any more games, the Chargers will take the AFC West seed. That will happen if they are not able to really pick it up and win some games. The Chargers will come out of the AFC West and they'll be fighting for a wild card spot. And with the way that the AFC North is playing, the way that the AFC West is generally playing, and the way that the AFC East is playing out even. I mean, maybe not the AFC East. You got the Bills, they're doing well, but the AFC North especially, with the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals, and maybe the Steelers possibly trending upwards towards the latter part of the season. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a wild card spot. I don't think they would. So they need to really win some games, and they need to do it on the defensive side of the ball. Now let's go into some of our previews. First, let's talk about Seattle taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Russell Wilson, he was 11-16, 152 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception before he went out with injury. Looks like he's going to be out a few weeks, and it is Geno Smith time in Seattle. He went 10-17, 131 yards, 1 touchdown and an interception in, I believe he played maybe half of the third quarter, maybe less, and on. Alex Collins, he had 15 carries, 47 yards, 0 touchdowns on the ground, 2 receptions, and 25 yards through the air as well. It doesn't look like Chris Carson is too optimistic about playing this Sunday. He has some neck injury that apparently is like a recurring injury that's going on, and he said it was going better today. It was going better. He said it's going better this week. Pete Carroll said it is trending upward, but it's too soon to say if he's going to be available on Sunday. DK Metcalf, he caught 5 of his 5 targets. Great job by Metcalf on Sunday. 98 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns. The defense right now, they are allowing 8.3 yards per pass attempt, which is tied for 27th in the league. 1,528 yards through the air, which is 30th in the league. They only have 2 interceptions on the year, which is tied for 27th in the NFL. They're allowing an average quarterback rating of 103.6, which is 24th. They're allowing 726 rushing yards, which is 31st in the league, and 4.5 yards per rush attempt, which is tied for 26th in the league. Ben Roethlisberger, he threw 15 for 25, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in their win on Sunday against the Broncos. Najee Harris, he had 23 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. He caught 2 of his 5 targets and had 20 yards on those 2 receptions. No touchdowns through the air for him. Chase Claypool caught 5 of his 6 targets for 130 yards and a touchdown. And Deontay Johnson caught 2 of his 2 targets, 72 yards through the air and a touchdown as well. The defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're kind of middle of the pack in their categories, especially the passing categories. In terms of rushing game, they're actually better. 502 rushing yards allowed on the year, which is 9th in the NFL. 4.0 yards per carry allowed, which is tied for 9th as well. And they're allowed only 1 rushing touchdown all season long after 5 weeks, which is tied for 1st in the NFL. It'll be interesting to see. These 2 teams in the past have been perennial powerhouses, but this season they haven't made an appearance in my top 10 list. I don't think they have, at least. And they're kind of lackluster this season. But we'll see how this Sunday night game goes. I kind of wish the Chargers and the Ravens game was flexed to be on Sunday night, but that's beside the point. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be interesting because I think this win might be the starting point for either one of these teams to make a playoff push. In terms of prediction, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I don't think Geno Smith is going to be able to get it done against a better defense in Pittsburgh. And I think Pittsburgh's offense is starting to click more. Najee Harris is getting a lot of attention, which is... The Steelers didn't have a run game last season, and that really hurt them down the stretch, and it hurt them in the playoffs when they made the wild card exit. Pittsburgh has a running game right now. They have Najee Harris, who's an incredible runner. He's an incredible threat out of the backfield in the passing game as well, and I think it's really benefiting Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. I know Juju Smith-Schuster is out for the season now, but I think that might be to Claypool and Johnson's benefit, and all in all, the Steelers' benefit. I'm going to choose the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I'm going to have them winning against the Seahawks 28-18. Expect Claypool to have a big night. Expect Deontay Johnson to possibly have a big night. And especially Najee Harris. He's going to have a big night against a Seattle team who struggles against the run. And our second game that we're going to preview is the Chargers taking on the Ravens. Justin Herbert on Sunday, he went 26 of 43, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions in their win against Cleveland. He also added 4 carries on the ground, 29 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Austin Eckler, he went 66 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And he also had 5 receptions on the game with 53 passing yards and a touchdown through the air. Mike Williams, he went 8 of 16 targets. He only had 8 receptions on 16 targets for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's why I kind of said, Mike Williams didn't really do an incredible job, per se. The 2 touchdowns and the 2 long touchdowns that he had were lapses in coverage, so it wasn't really him beating out defenders. It was more just mistakes made by the Browns and their coverage plans. If you watched the games, watch the highlights of Mike Williams. They were 2 very easy touchdowns. Nothing, not to take away anything from him, but he only went 50% on his targets. So not an incredible day for Mike Williams, but if you're a fantasy owner of Mike Williams, it was quite an incredible day. The defense for the Chargers, they've allowed 788 rushing yards, which is dead last in the NFL, and 5.6 yards per rush attempt, which is dead last in the NFL as well. Not good news when you're going against the Baltimore Ravens and their run-heavy offense. Lamar Jackson on Monday Night Football, I'm going to say it again, MVP Lamar Jackson right now. 37 of 43, 442 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He also added 14 carries and 62 yards on the ground. No rushing touchdowns, however. Mark Andrews, he had 13 targets. He caught 11 of those for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. Marquise Brown, he had 10 targets and caught 9 of those, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns for him through the air. They had a slow start, but this team, if there's one word that I have for the Baltimore Ravens, it is resilience. If there's a second word, it's perseverance. They have gone through so much adversity so far this season, and they are showing up and showing out, and it's incredible. Props to them. The Baltimore defense right now, they allow 466 rushing yards on the season, which is 7th in the NFL, 8.3 yards per attempt, which is tied for 27th in the NFL, and they've allowed 1,482 passing yards, which is tied for the 29th in the NFL. If the Chargers can pull this off, if they can win against Baltimore, because I think it's going to be a close game and it's going to be a toss-up, but if they can win, they are going to establish themselves as the best team in the AFC. Honestly, if they beat the Baltimore Ravens, props to Justin Herbert and the entire Chargers team. You will be at the top, if not second to the Bills. If Baltimore continues this, they are in the same boat. This is a huge statement game for either team. Lots on the table. It's going to be fun. It's going to be electric to watch. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to win against the Chargers this week. 32-28, the final score. Like I said, could go either way, but it's going to be a close game. That's one to watch. Stop everything you're doing. Watch that game. There you have it. Those are my previews. I'm going to post my other predictions on my Instagram and my Twitter and my Facebook. So go check those out. My Instagram is at Harvey's Huddle. Twitter is at Harvey's_Huddle. And on Facebook, the page name is Harvey's Huddle. Drop a like, hit that follow button, drop a comment as well, or shoot me a message. We had some good interaction with you guys last week. Let me know what you think. And I always love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Jackson Harvey. This has been Harvey's Huddle. Take care.